By the time we leave the tea shop, I've missed not just one class, but two. Shizune and Misha seem content to let the whole day pass by, stalling for even more time by suggesting a tour of the town that turns out to cover a 2-block radius from where we start. Eventually, we do go back to school, and the rest of the day is business as usual. When classes are over, Shizune and Misha pack their bags and leave the room before me. Come to think of it, this is the first time they've left me alone. It's strange, I almost miss them. The room empties quickly, and I'm the last one out the door. When I try leaving the lobby, however, an arm lowers itself in front of me like a toll bridge gate, stopping me in my tracks. Shizune signs at me. "Oh, hi, Shizune." A pair of hands from behind cover my eyes, followed by a sharp burst of laughter. "Hi, Hee-chan, guess who?" Misha asks the question completely without sarcasm, meaning she doesn't think that I instantly knew it was her for many obvious reasons. "I wonder who it could be," I say. "Well, it's definitely not Misha." "Ha ha ha, it is!" Misha swings around to stand in front of me beside Shizune. Shizune signs. "Hee-chan, are you busy right now?" "Busy going to my room? Yeah, see you two tomorrow," I say. I try to make a break for it, but Shizune is too agile to get past. As someone who used to play soccer, this is embarrassing. Not to mention that this behavior is drawing some odd looks. I should just quit while I'm ahead. Shizune continues. "Hee-chan, could you please go upstairs and get a few things from us from the art room?" "Why me?" "Ha ha ha! Shi-chan thinks that if the art teacher sees us, he will say hi and she doesn't like him." "Then ignore him," I say. She answers back. "She tried, but even though Shi-chan is deaf, he'll try to say hi anyway." "Run away," I say. "I never run!" A tone of finality so strong that I can pick it up even through Misha. I can see there's no use pursuing this further with Shizune. "Misha," I ask, "why can't you get them?" "Stairs make me dizzy, Hee-chan." Shizune nods as if to confirm it. "Please, Hee-chan, we need these things to build stalls for the festival, and you said you would help out a little, right? Right?" "I really shouldn't, but I guess just this once would be all right." "Okay," I say. Shizune happily signs. "That's great, Hee-chan. Thanks you." "This is what we need." She holds out a piece of paper for me to take. I'm sure this list was made by Shizune. It's handwritten, but each letter is perfectly formed and in uniform, as if it were typed. Not just that, but it's exhaustively detailed, complete with numbers, bullet points, and even little check boxes. What it boils down to is that she wants paint, paintbrushes, poster board, and an easel. Just different types and specific numbers of each. I wonder how I'm going to carry all this stuff down from the stairs without breaking my neck. The classrooms closest to ours are designated belonging to classes 3-1 and 3-2 on the right side, and 3-4 on the left side, each door looking exactly the same. Further down the corridor, still with identical doors, are rooms that I didn't think were used for classes. I guess the art room is not a classroom as such. I carefully push open the furthest door and peek in. It's a classroom, but it seems rather badly kept or not in use. Am I in the right place? Desks and chairs are all around the room, a thin layer of dust settled on them. There are some easels in the corner, so at least this looks like the right place. The room is flushed in sunlight from the big windows, shadows creeping all over the desks. Specks of dusk are dancing in the stagnant air, making the beams of light almost visible. Jokingly, I call into the empty room. "Anybody ho—" Something catches my eye, and I stop mid-sentence. Sitting on a desk is a short-haired girl, curiously wearing a boy's uniform, with a fork between her toes, a morsel of food stuck firmly on the end. This odd way of dining seems to be caused by her apparent lack of hands, but her presence here is what takes me back even more. How did I miss her before? She's sitting in a corner very still, but I still somehow took her as a part of the furnishings or a statue at first glance. I'm not being too observant today as a whole. The girl seems to be frozen in place, staring at me with her huge eyes like a rabbit in headlights. She's staring at me, her mouth wide open, ready to accept the fork. I'm staring at her, my mouth wide open, suddenly remembering I didn't finish my sentence and trying to think if I should. This weird stalemate keeps us both stunned into silence, punctuated only by the wall clock ticking rhythmically. "Hello," she says. The girl stuffs the forkful in her mouth and is now staring at me expectantly while chewing. This is a bit awkward. Hello. I was told to pick up some supplies from here. For some festival stalls, I think. I didn't think there would be someone here. There isn't, she says. That's why I came here too. She picks up another forkful. Doesn't that mean you're here then? I ask her. She raises her eyebrows as if she was suspecting my observation was false. You're pretty observant. I guess it does. But who are you? This girl is pretty straightforward, isn't she? I answer her. I'm Nakai, Hisao Nakai. I just transferred in on Monday. I'm Rin. Tezuka Rin Tezuka. I won't shake hands with you, but at least we know who we are now. That's very nice. Her deadpan manner of talking makes it hard to determine whether she's joking about shaking hands or not. It kinda bothers me. Joking about these matters doesn't feel appropriate at all. While I'm trying to figure out what's appropriate and whether the girl is, she seems to have lost interest in me and is now gazing yearningly back at her food. Can I continue my lunch? If you don't mind me, I won't mind you. If you need to get your stuff, the supplies are at the back. I tell her, go right ahead, but lunch? School's already over for the day. She says, what word would you use then? There is no word for a meal you eat after lunch but before dinner, right? It bothers me very much too, but I don't really know what I should say. I don't think you're supposed to eat a meal between lunch and dinner to begin with, I tell her. She says, but I'm hungry now and my delicious boxed lunch would go to waste otherwise. I have curry. It's very delicious. With much decisiveness, Rin once again picks up the fork between her toes, and with at least as much impoliteness, she points it straight at me. So, Nakai, what brings you to this place? I tell her, like I said, I was told to look for these things. No, she says, the school. From outside you look fine. Is your problem inside? I come to a full stop, opening my mouth but not getting a word out. She says, I can guess. I'm good at guessing, better than most people. Rin cuts me off before I can answer her question or skirt around it somehow. I don't know which I would have done. I froze in front of this issue again. I haven't even told anyone here about my condition, or maybe it's only because it hasn't really come up. I do get the feeling that not making issues of this is part of the social code here, as the teacher said. I wonder if the people here could relate. Probably not any better than any normal person could. I can't relate to Shizune's circumstances, or Lily's either. Naturally, while I go through this in my head, Rin keeps considering what my condition could be with an overtly contemplative look on her face. She puts her fork between her lips and leans back, looking at the ceiling as if the answer was written up there. A beam of light illuminates her face from the window side, creating a mask of dark shadow on the other side. She ponders for a moment. I don't think it's anything in your head, and something in your guts would be boringly ordinary, like this lunch of mine, and less delicious. The problem must be in your pants. This messed up Sherlock Holmes kind of statement and the sheer lack of tact it was delivered with catches me completely off guard. I think I might have reeled back even physically as Rin's eyes widen in revelation and astonishment. So I was right! There's something wrong with your tackle, isn't there? Still partially in shock, but recognizing the need to reply something, I spit out the first thing that I can think of. No, nothing like that. I have a heart problem, arrhythmia. I said it, more like blurted it out, but I said it. The girl in front of me purses her lips together and glowers at me, looking very disappointed. How boring, she says. Trouble in the pants would have been much more scandalous. What's with this reaction? I'm sorry to let you down, I say. I forgive you, she answers. Just, I collect people, and a person with, that kind of problem would have been really great. Collect people, I ask her. People with different problems, she says. Huh, so you just, go around asking people what's wrong with them? Pretty much, she says. I see. With little left to say, Rin resumes her lunch and the conversation dies away, but I keep thinking about what was said. It's the first time I told anyone else about my condition. All the other people have either known about it already or heard about it from someone else. Or didn't need to know about it, like every other student here so far. Should I have told it as a natural part of introductions? Is it expected of me? Hi, I'm Hisao. I have a very serious heart condition. Is that how I'm supposed to go around introducing myself from now on? As if our disabilities would define us. What a disgusting thought. Or maybe this Tezuka girl just has an unnatural interest in such things. As I walk to the back of the room to pick up the items on Misha's list, a chance opens to study Rin from the corner of my eye. Her hair is a burnt auburn, almost orange, and cropped short. Long hair would probably be impossible with no arms. The boy's uniform and the lack of arms make her look very thin, almost scrawny. She is not particularly pretty except for her murky green eyes, which flicker restlessly from below her short bangs, even when she eats. The distance and the shadows make it seem like they don't reflect sunlight at all, but instead absorb all of it within them like deep wells. She moves her feet almost as deftly as a normal person would use their arms. However, I can see how this sight might discomfort people, especially while eating. It makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable at least. I hesitate to think about the word unnatural, but it's too late now, isn't it? I keep searching the cabins and shelves for Misha's things, but after enough time passes, the silence grows too uncomfortable, so I try to force some conversation out of this strange girl. So, do you always eat alone and this late? Or do you get the occasional visitor? Visitors. Maybe you are my first occasional visitor. But I don't always eat alone either. Sometimes I eat with a certain person on the roof if she's not horsing around. Horsing, I ask? She likes to do sports. Oh. And that's all I can think of to say. Both of us fall silent again as Rin forks the last bits of her meal to her mouth. I look down at my haul and double-check it with Misha's list. It seems I have everything except plywood. I ask her, so I think I have all the things now. That's very nice for you, she replies. Don't feel obligated to stay. I was about to take a nap anyway. You need to do whatever you are going to do with that stuff anyway, right? Or perhaps you like to watch girls sleeping. I reply. I'm not sure what to make of this, but Rin looks serious. Even if I did, I say, I think I have to be going. I'll catch you around, Tezuka. You can call me Rin, she says. I feel that our relationship is at this point good enough to warrant this much. I was already turning to make my exit, but she draws me back in. Fine, then I'm Hisao. Then you are, she says. Rin looks at me hard in the eyes, but that intimidating feeling you get when someone stares at you isn't there. It's like she's actually not looking at me at all. She blinks a couple of times, and I can't figure out why a pause like this just popped between us out of nowhere. See you later, Hisao, she says. There's something like a tiny smile there in her face, maybe. I quietly back out of the room. As I shut the door in front of my face, I whisper to myself, what an intriguing person. From inside, I hear a muffled sing-song voice. I heard that. What did she hear? I jump at the sudden appearance of Misha, who I'd not heard approaching despite the completely empty hallway. Somehow she had gotten to jumping distance of me without making a sound. Creepy. It briefly reminds me of Kenji's nutty theory about a global feminist conspiracy, but I pushed that thought aside. Shizune, standing slightly behind Misha, looks aloof as if she couldn't have heard the remark that drew Misha's attention, but Misha is visibly excited. No, wait, more importantly, who is in there? There's no club meetings today. She tries to curiously peek past me, even though the door prevents her from seeing anyway. What are you doing here, I ask. You took so long that we had to come and check what's wrong. That's no good, Hee-chan. She wags her finger at me scoldingly. I found plywood, but everything else is still missing because you are tardy. Oh, sorry, I say. I got the things here, was just going to bring them. I think you were up to some mischief, Hee-chan. Who is in there with you, I wonder? Misha signs something quickly to Shizune, pointing at her own ear a couple of times. Shizune immediately pushes her way past me and opens the door into the classroom I just left. I can only imagine the shock she's experiencing. With Shizune's diligence and attitude, the insolence of daring to deface school property by sleeping on top of it must be too much to bear. And indeed, she stares at Rin, frozen in place apart from the slight but noticeable trembling of her shoulders, from suppressed rage, I'm sure. Instead of blowing up, Shizune just takes a few deep breaths, adjusts her glasses, and slams the door shut, turning to sign furiously at Misha. Maybe she did blow up, but I can't understand it. She shoots a very loaded stare at me too, as if it were somehow my fault that Rin is sleeping on one of the tables. I hope she's not getting any funny ideas about the reason of my tardiness. Hello, Rin says from inside the room. Rin's voice comes from the other side of the door, and it takes a few eye blinks to realize she might have trouble opening it. I open the door to find Rin directly behind it, looking at us with half-interested, half-sleepy face. Hello. Shizune starts signing. Miss Tezuka, what do you think you were doing? You absolutely are not permitted to use school property for such, disgraceful activity. It sure is suddenly very crowded in here. I didn't know I was this popular. It's hard to say whether she's happy or unhappy about this turn of events. At any rate, she ignores Shizune and Misha's scolding, so they have no choice but to drop the issue. Shizune taps Misha's shoulder, points at Rin, and makes some quick signs. Popularity aside, please don't do that anymore. She continues signing. Anyway, how is your project going? Will it be done for the festival? Rin looks at them blankly, apparently at ease under the pressure Shizune's cold stare is putting on her. I keep wondering about that myself, too. Shizune signs again. And? We'll think about it harder. As Misa signs her reply to Shizune, her face turns into an unsatisfied frown. Miss Tezuka, please try to take this seriously. It'll be a disaster if the wall looks like someone threw up their lunch onto it. Rin nods assertively. We'll think more seriously. Misha actually giggles at that, but Shizune doesn't, not even after translation. She just shakes her head, takes the materials from me, and takes off with Misha in tow. Rin frowns thoughtfully as she looks after the retreating student council duo. How rude. It's true, though. I must finish my project before the weekend. There will be dire consequences if I don't. The end of the world as we know it. Like weekends usually are, but more dire. Much more dire. Maybe I'll postpone my nap to unforeseen future. I'm about to ask what project she has and what are these apocalyptic consequences, but she walks back into the art classroom. Since you have nothing to do, would you give me a hand, she says. This paint can doesn't fit into my bag, but I need it. She kicks lightly at a huge can of paint that's lying on the floor next to the table she was sitting and sleeping on. And with our introduction here to Rin Tezuka, we have met all the girls that are available for the various paths now. Rin is quite an interesting character as well, as you see, very much a lot more straightforward and blunt than any of the other characters in the school. A lot less, probably less tact of anyone other than perhaps ourselves whenever we first arrived there. But she is also the resident artist, as you'll find out shortly, explaining why she's actually sitting here sleeping inside of the art classroom. And that perhaps also goes to explain her personality some as well. How it is that everything for her is just a matter of trying to figure stuff out and being just intensely interested in what something is, and being very interested in getting to the heart and truth of the matter rather than worrying about the conventions of polite society.